monthly market update. We are approaching year end, but these are not year end numbers. Remember, we're always looking in the behind, the rear view mirror, about 4 to 6 weeks behind. But I got some December numbers in here for you too, so it can tell you what's going on. If you've been watching my videos for the last couple of months, I've been talking about Q4 is the time to buy. So let's break it down and let's see exactly what's going on till the third week of December when I record this video. We're going to talk about the Cromford Market Index. We would be nowhere without these numbers. This is amazing and one of the only MLS systems that has these data points and tracking for over 25 years. So we can go back and we can look at what the market has been like over the last 25 years. So when you talk to some of these doomsdayers, especially on YouTube, they're only talking about the last couple of years. They have short-term memory and short-term knowledge. So when we look at the Cromford Market Index, it tells you that anything under 100 is going to be a buyer's market. Anything over 100 is a seller's market. Now, the way these analysts report these numbers are from a seller perspective. So I'm kind of flipping them around since most of you are buyers and we're looking at what it means for a buyer in today's market. So here's something, guys. December has been an unusually busy month. Now, November, we can look at the November numbers now, and we lose a whole week practically Thanksgiving week. Like literally nothing happens. We don't have closings, we don't have buyers, it just shuts down. So it is normal that we don't have a lot of activity in November. But as I told you in my November monthly market update, that I already saw an influx of buyers coming in the market right after the election results. Now we can look back on the Cromford market. They pulled this on December 16th, and they're telling us, according to their CMI, Cromford Market Index, that we are at 87.3. Now, this is the entire greater Phoenix area. This includes 3 different markets. This is going to be our luxury market, which in today's world, luxury is kind of over 2 million now. A million all over the valley. But again, we have a luxury market. We have our retirement markets, 55 plus communities, not just snowbird activity, but 55 plus communities, completely different market. And what I call the Gen Pop. And that is going to be the majority of the rest of us that are looking to buy and sell in the Phoenix market. But here's the thing. If we look at just what last week was at 87.3 and this week has gone up, now, it's not a lot, but that is unusual, just saying. So we're at 88.5 today, the day that we are doing this, but let me go ahead and show this screen to you live because this is for the entire greater Phoenix area, the Phoenix Valley, in every market and every price point. What you're probably wondering is the hyper local areas. So I'm going to show you exactly what those look like today. All right, so I'm going to first focus on the buyer market. So again, when you see and hear that Phoenix is one way, you just know that you got to peel that banana back because there's a whole lot of stuff inside there. It's not an accurate reflection of absolutely everything. So Goodyear, one of a really good, strong buyer's market. So if you are a buyer in today's market, look at this. There is a plethora of inventory, and that's going to show us up at 115. And with the buyer demand, which to be honest with you, at 84%, with higher interest rates than we've seen in a long time, and it's the week of Christmas. When I'm doing this video, yes, I'm working for you guys on Christmas week, but look at that. It's a buyer's market. That means that we can get you some really good deals. We also have Surprise, pretty similar. Another area, Queen Creek. This is going to include Queen Creek and Santan Valley together. But if you are looking in this area, this isn't necessarily an accurate reflection of Queen Creek, but it does have a lot of merit in Santan Valley and some of Queen Creek. We also have the city of Maricopa. Still today, in my opinion, the most affordable place to call home, but I have to tell you that 347 State Route 347 situation is getting worse. Got more videos coming up on that. We also have Buckeye. People know Buckeye for Verrado, and if you haven't seen my recent video on Verrado, it's only halfway done. People don't realize that. Look at that inventory, though. We're talking through the roof. And then we also have Levine. Not as much inventory, but look at the buyer demand. That's kind of shocking. And then we also have Gold Canyon, I want to share with you. Gold Canyon, in my opinion, is super affordable. If you are looking for retirement, I would highly recommend you at least consider Gold Canyon. It's not a 55 plus community, but the overall, the age average in this area is honestly younger than a 55 plus community, but it's over 55. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're just going to have to give me a call. From those buyers markets, did you guys notice anything? Those are all areas where we have a very strong presence of new construction. When you are going to be competing with the builder, and that means today and potentially 2 years, 5 years, maybe even 10 years, these are conversations you have to have with us about how long you plan to hold the property, because it's going to impact your resellability. Let's talk a little bit more about balanced markets. Balanced markets are going to be somewhere right around the 90 to 110 point. So you're going to see here, Glendale has a much lower inventory, but you know what? They don't have very many buyers. So that makes Glendale a balanced market. Here's a nice surprise for those of you who are looking for Gilbert. Gilbert also has a very low inventory and has low buyer demand. That makes it still a balanced market. We also have Cave Creek. If you're looking in Cave Creek, that 71% of inventory is about 200 listings. It's some of the highest I have seen in a long time in Cave Creek. If you're looking and you can't find the right home, I think that we're going to have a nice inventory coming up in this buyer market. Sorry, the buyer season coming up in Q1. We also have Mesa. Mesa is also a very strong balanced market. It's just right there. And then we also have Peoria. So again, this is what I mean by if you break it down by city, it's not what the news is necessarily reporting. So let's talk about what a balanced market is. A balanced market is going to have not just the numbers, not just the amount of inventory versus demand. What it's going to be is when negotiating, it really means that those sellers are holding still. They are not coming down on price. They're not doing a whole lot of negotiation below list price. And they're also not offering very many concessions. They would much rather, especially at this time of the year, they would much rather have their homes sit on the market for the next month until we hit that buyer season. Let me tell you guys, the second week of January, it is like a light switch out here. Because we already received phone calls from most of the people coming in from outside of the state, we're already pretty booked up for the first couple of weeks. Even the week between Christmas and New Year's, we have buyers coming into town because they are going to be taking advantage of those hot homes that come on the market first thing. Let's talk about the sellers markets. People are surprised that in the December timeframe, and also with what the news might be saying, that we have a sellers market. Some of these areas, it's still pretty happening out there. All right, let's talk about those sellers markets. Chandler, really low on inventory. Fountain Hills, really low on inventory. Scottsdale. Scottsdale actually has more inventory than the other two cities I just mentioned. And they still have a very healthy buyer demand, which I anticipate these numbers are going to go up exponentially in a very short time frame. The city of Phoenix is kind of a lot of different pieces. This is literally from the furthest north part, all the way from Anthem down to Central Phoenix, down to Ahwatukee, and even some of the least expensive areas, South Mountain, the north side of South Mountain. So this is a real number that we have to dive into if this is an area you're looking for, because again, it's too large to tell you what the market is like. Tempe, really hot area. it's amazing. I actually don't get more calls for Tempe. The demand is not necessarily college, and it's not necessarily investment properties. I love Tempe, and I am so surprised that we don't get more calls. And then the most expensive part of the greater Phoenix area is still a seller's market. And this craziness, yes, it is. This is Paradise Valley. And this has a lot to do with the fact that the White House decision, I think I saw a plethora of high-end cash buyers starting to call us literally the week after the election was over. Not talking about the future. Let's talk about a little bit more about what has happened so we can look back. We talk about it being a buyer's market. One of the things that people don't realize is what a buyer market looks like. Everyone seems to think a buyer's market might be like the 2008 when everything was really cheap. That's not necessarily a market. That was a financial crisis. This today, a buyer's market, is when there are less buyers in the market and values are holding still. That is an ideal buyer's market. And when we look back over the last 24 years, it has truly only been a buyer's market 3 times. More specifically, since the 2008 crash, that was the longest buyer's market we've ever had. In fact, when you look at Phoenix over the last 20, 25 years, it has almost, I mean, it has been a seller's market, clearly. So in 2010, we had 16 weeks. If you bought in that window, you scored. Then in 2022, December, I remember so many people. That was a great month. We saw and helped so many buyers get into new construction with some of the most amazing incentives when everybody else was kind of frozen with what's going on in the market and really skeptical. And of course, YouTube people were coming out and just saying it's a crash. The people that really were in tune to what was going on, they got in that 4-week window, and again, huge success. We are here again. We have been in this window since November 3rd for 6 weeks now. It is still a buyer's market, but in the last 6 weeks, I've seen also more buyer activity. So I feel like in 6 weeks, when we look back again, we're going to say for sure that this was the lowest quarter of the year, and December is traditionally the best time to buy and get the lowest prices and the best deals. I think that's going to happen again. Now, appreciation has still been very successful, but again, it depends on a lot of variables. You can't just say all of Phoenix. If we do take all of Phoenix, we're going to use the median number. And the median number, if you look in February 2021, so we're talking almost 4 years ago, the median was still in the $300,000 price point. And this is when most buyers were like, I'm not getting in this crazy market. And look at where they are now. Like they said, coulda, shoulda, woulda. Now, if we go to December 2021, which is kind of really where things should have stopped, and we use that kind of as the basis. It got all the way up to 475. You can see in this chart at one time in May, June of 2022, it was at 475, but it came back down in December of 2022 to 415. And again, that if you bought in December 2022, I think that's going to be one of the lows that people refer to over the next 10 years. Then we go December to December, it's 434 last year, and then this year it's 465 so far this year. My prediction actually, though, is I think that number is going to go down a little bit for December because I'm anticipating a lot of smoking deals. We have gotten some amazing deals for our clients that decided to purchase in December. And I think that they're going to be very happy. So I feel like we're going to finish the year a little bit lower than that 465. And so the appreciation won't be as high as 7%, 7.5%. Let's just say 7%. So is that enough to sell your home if you bought 2 years ago? this is where you have to have the conversation with us before you go into the builder. Because let me tell you guys, first of all, they're going to overpromise and underdeliver, and they're going to talk about these same things in the news. They're going to talk about Redfin and Zillow and how Phoenix is going to be one of the hottest markets in 2025. That's all great, but if you're buying new construction, chances are you're going to be out in the suburbs and you're going to be competing with new construction. And this is the part people don't realize. If you are competing with new construction, they're always going to keep your price down. They're going to beat you. They're going to beat you. So if you're buying in Chandler, if you're buying in Gilbert, if you're buying in, I don't even want to say Peoria because there's a lot of construction in Peoria, although I think everywhere is holding its value. I don't think we're going to be seeing declines, but to have enough appreciation, you have to be in an area that you're not going to be competing with new construction over the next 3 to 5 years. If you don't plan to hold your home for at least 5 years, I would recommend that you rent. I know that sounds crazy coming from a realtor, but that's my recommendation. If we looking at the appreciation a little bit differently, and we look at the average sales, the average cost per sales on a square foot basis, this shows you a little bit different number when we go under 2,500 square feet. I know that sounds so weird. Like I said, there's so many ways to pull these bananas or onions apart, whatever. And when you look at other YouTubers and other people that talk about the market, it's really hard to just give you one number. But overall, everything has gone up since interest rates went up and the market demand went down. We're going to talk about inventory in just a moment. But all homes under 2,500 square feet have also seen an appreciation when you look at a cost per square foot basis. And when we also look at luxury homes over 2,500 square feet, it has seen an like a huge, insane explosion. And so I'll tell you, I've received, like I said, a lot of calls from cash luxury buyers. And I know that when you're looking at everything online and you're seeing these homes sitting on the market, and you're thinking the reason they're sitting on the market is because they were overpriced. They were sitting on the market because the buyers in that type of demographic, first of all, typically don't shop in September, October, November timeframe. They usually don't even shop in December, which that's what I'm saying. It's been crazy busy, even in the multi-million-dollar price point for us. We sold a $2 million listing at full price after being on the market for 3.5 months. So I'm telling you, it's not always what you think it is. And if you give us a call, we'll help you identify really where there's opportunities and also set the right expectation for what the market is doing right now. Contract ratio is a great way to also understand. And again, we can pull these by areas, but overall, when we look at the Phoenix area, the Phoenix Valley, if you call it that, we're in a very similar market that we were in 2015 to 2019. So before COVID came in and gave us some astronomical numbers, that again, people, they remember the market crash in 2008, and there's a lot of PTSD from that, but they don't remember everything that kind of happened between then and COVID. And what we're experiencing today is what we were experiencing back then. And this is kind of normal, guys. The interest rates feel like it's making it not normal. It's just that we had such an amazing deal, opportunity, even as crazy as it was. The market crash in 2008 is very much like COVID. It was a market disruption. And so now we are back to normal. This will also show you where all the arrows are. It shows you how it dies down at the end of the year. So if you're looking for the best deal, it's always going to be Q4, always. If you're looking for the best looking home, it's going to be, in our market, it's going to be for Q1 and early parts of Q2. It's a little different in every market. So I know people are like, I want to buy the best home in Q4. I'm like, well, when those come on the market, you have to be ready to pay full price. That's all I got to say. So let's talk about the inventory, because that is also what's making a lot of news. And I think that this is consistent really across the nation, because the higher interest rates have taken more buyers out of the market. And so it has given some cities and metro areas the opportunity to build up inventory. And that did for us. But I want to break this down for you guys on a couple of different ways. Again, nothing is just what you see. If you look at the numbers from where we were 2 years ago today, or sorry, 1 year ago today, we were down to 13,000 listings and change. All right, 13,452, right? And the year before that, just to give us a comparison, we were at 15. So we were really low last year, but now we're at 19. And again, to anybody that's trying to find something to create that fear for everybody, they're like, look at this, we're almost at 20,000. This is where it was when we were in the pre-foreclosure. No, we weren't. In fact, let me look up those actual numbers for you. All right, let's look at this. So when we talk about total listings, we're look at 2021. In 2021, we were much higher at 115,000, and today we're only at 84,000. But let's do this. Let's pop in 2008 in there. And I bet, yep, I had a feeling. Look at this. So when the market was crashing, we were at 159,000. So again, when you're talking, when these YouTubers, it just cracks me up. When you talk about how it's just like it was, that's so not true. First of all, they don't have the data. One of the biggest one, Reventure, he talks about it. He himself was, his parents probably went through the market crash, and so he probably has a lot of PTSD, probably had to experience a lot of hardship in his family at that time. But again, you need longer history. You can't just take the last couple of years, otherwise it does look like things have slowed down, which is what we wanted to have done with those higher interest rates. Remember inflation, guys? Like, it's still around, and so are the interest rates. So we were talking about, like, again, the inventory has gone up. Let's talk about what's happening and where it's from. First of all, inventory, as far as, I'm sorry, not inventory, the listings under contract, it was right around it's the 36th week. That's August timeframe. And what happened in August? That's when we saw interest rates go down. So we know that if interest rates go back down to that little bit of a 5 number, or even the low 6s, we already know we have proof that buyers are on the fence and they're waiting to get out there. Now, if we look at the last couple of weeks, again, since the election results came out, we should have been turning down. Like, we turned down for Thanksgiving. That's norm. Every single year, that week, it goes whatever direction and then down. And then usually it continues down because it's Christmas time. And what happened this year? It's going back up. We have more listings under contract, significantly more than we did last year at the same time. Kind of different. I think it's important to point out where this inventory is coming from. And there's two conversations going out there on the street. The first one is going to be the recent news from both D.R. Horton and Lennar, when they talk about how it's overbuilding and now they're having to slash their prices, and they are just creating that problem again that we saw in 2008, and it's the worst one that's about yet to come. Well, when we look at the Phoenix area, again, those are national builders. And I do have to say, those builders are offering some great incentives. But when you look at the Phoenix Valley, which would include both Maricopa County and the north part of Pinal County, when you look at the total number of building permits, and when you hear the other sources telling you it's the same, they're overbuilding like they did in 2008, I'm going to compare it again. The new permits compared to 2008, they were over 55,000 every single quarter after quarter. We're not putting ourselves in that same hole again, despite what other sources are saying. So when we look at what the inventory has been doing, and we again break it apart, we know it's not really new construction. And I realize that Not all new construction is in MLS, although today most of it is. Builders are very different today. They're begging for us to bring their buyers in. So again, if we were, I don't really talk about that, but the buyer broker compensation is still very much being paid for by the builder as well as the sellers. If the market turns to more of a seller's market, know that that is something that might come back on the buyer's plate. So that's something to consider if you're waiting to buy a home. It might cost you, might is the key word, a lot more money, and you'll need to save more money to get into a home. So back to the inventory. When we look at the size of the massiveness of the new inventory that's hit the market, it's these smaller homes. And here's what I'm thinking they are. Number one, it's going to be a lot of condominiums. I mean, we can see that already. It's broken down here. We have several thousands of condominiums that have gone on the market. And a lot of that has to do with Airbnbs and even rentals, where the HOAs now have just skyrocketed because of insurance. Those master plan premiums and policies have just like skyrocketed. Also, if the community is in it's an older building, they may also have more assessments. When we look at days on the market, we are kind of normal. Again, we talk about what the market was like in 2015 to 2019. I'm not going to say exactly the same. We have higher interest rates today, but right now we're at 45 days on the market at the time going under contract. That's not the completion. But so again, for those of you that are watching and you're looking, if you are looking for price reductions, you're probably not seeing a whole lot this month. It's super normal. No one's really making a lot of drastic moves in December because it's not really going to help them. January 1st, you're going to see a bunch of price reductions. And that's because the the buyers are now out in full force. But again, don't think that that means that the values have gone down. It just means the list price. Here's the wrap up for you guys. I've talked your ear off. I'm so excited about 2025. If I have not spoken to you personally yet, please reach out to us. Give us a call. Make sure you give us a call at least a couple months in advance. Make sure you get on our calendar. Let's talk about how to be strategic in the upcoming market and how to get you the best opportunity that's out there. This again is the market conditions overall from the Cromford report. The numbers are, but where I made the changes is in the far right column, because again, I'm reporting this from a buyer perspective. We look at the average cost per square foot. It has gone up. So for those of you who have waited, know that you can still get some great opportunities, but you're either going to be looking at a higher cost per square foot or a smaller home. The median sales price has also risen in the last year. My prediction, it's going to go down a tad bit before we wrap up, because December typically has the best sales, the best deals of all year. And although this is really optimistic at 465, it was taken when it was only 10 days into the month. Seller concessions have gone up a tad bit since a year ago. That is a good for buyers. Seller concessions are about the same and as far as an average. And the sales price to list price, did I talk about that? I didn't. Just to let you guys know, we're at 97.5%. What does that mean? It means that there are still some motivated sellers out there right now, but it also means that for the most part, when a home is priced well, it's selling. Average days on the market, or I should say median, sorry, there is a difference, guys. Median days on the market is 45 compared to 37. So it is taking a little bit longer. But again, my anticipation for January 2025, we will hopefully be able to report the year-end numbers for you. But there'll be a lot of predictions coming up in every kind of source you can possibly find, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, or just regular news source. There's going to be so much going on. But if you want to get into the nitty gritty, guys, if you have a specific area that you are looking for and you're looking at buying in 2025, give me a call. We'll pull up these charts. We can talk about the areas that you're looking at. Let's talk about new construction versus resale, pros and cons. There are pros and cons to every area and every scenario. We want to help make those decisions for you. We want to be your source for sources. So give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. Days, nights, or weekends, we got you back when moving to Phoenix, Arizona. And I hope you all had a wonderful holiday season. And welcome 2025.